Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Oh, flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's see, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for you.
Citi 97.3. More variety.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou, and tonight I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
The president is responsible and therefore takes the credit, all the blame for whatever happens in his or her government.
President Akufo-Addo takes full responsibility for Ghana's current situation as he delivered the State of the Nation address, stating that things will get better. But the minority leader is not impressed.
The unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter. The state of our nation is hopeless. Today, we have a Minister of Finance domestic and a Minister of Finance international.
Also coming up, NDC flag bearer John Mahama submits running mate name to his party leadership for approval. Will it be Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman again? That's the question we'll be asking. And later on Eyewitness News, over 600 Ghanaians and Liberians displeased after a demolition exercise of their homes in Bujumbura in the central region. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
President Akufo-Addo assures of government commitment to ensure discussions on external debt restructuring is quickened.
That's in 50 minutes from the City Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of affiliate stations. In the Western region, we are in Takrady on Premier 100.5 FM, Beach 105.5 FM, and Sky Power 93.5 FM. In Bono region, we are in Sunyani on Greener 95.9 FM. In Ashanti region, we are in Kumasi on Orange 107.9 FM. In the Eastern region, we are in Somanya on Right 90.1 FM. In the Volta region, we are in Aflau on Holy 98.5 FM. In the Northern region, we are in Yendi on Dasuma 99.1 FM. In the Upper East region, we are in Zuarungu on Word 88.3 FM. In Upper West, we are on Bugli Radio 86.6 in Wa. We are live on YouTube, we are live on Facebook, we are live on citynewsroom.com, and we are interactive. Join us with your messages 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996. Alternatively, go on Twitter and drop your message, the hashtag citynewsroom. My handle is at Umaru Sanda. You can also send your message to at city973. Today, President Akufo-Addo satisfied a constitutional requirement where he appeared before Ghana's representatives in Parliament to tell them what the state of the nation is. Howard has the story.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has expressed deep concerns regarding the expenditure incurred in resolving the Boko conflict. During his final State of the Nation address in Parliament earlier today, the president indicated that the funds used in ensuring security in Boko and its environs could have been allocated to other developmental projects. He says the prolonged chieftaincy issue is worrying.
What should concern all of us, and not just the people of Boko, is that in its current state, Boko is an alluring magnet to mischief makers and extremists operating a few kilometers away from the border. In a bid to find a lasting solution to the conflict, government has in the past year undertaken a number of measures, including the establishment of a special Boko task force and the intensification of engagements with the factions for the resolution of the chieftaincy dispute. On the recommendation of the Upper East Regional and National Security Councils, 4 radio stations that have been broadcasting incendiary language and propagating hate speech have been shut down by the National Communications Authority. The Chief Justice, for her part, has also recently established specialized courts in Accra and in Kumasi to deal expeditiously with criminal matters emanating from the Boko conflict. Government is determined to do all it can to ensure that there's security in every inch of the territory of our country. But it is also very much up to the citizens to help create the needed atmosphere. And I'm thus appealing to all citizens, all Ghanaians, to take the See Something, Say Something campaign of the Ministry of National Security very seriously.
The president also accepted responsibility for the current economic challenges, emphasizing that executive powers are ultimately vested in the hands of the president. In his address, the president acknowledged that the accountability for challenges rests squarely with the president. He underscored that as leader, he assumes the blame for the difficulties faced by the country.
Under the Constitution, the executive power of the state is vested in the President of the Republic. He or she is the executive. There's no ambiguity about where the buck stops when it comes to responsibility for what happens in the government. It stops with the President. He or she has ultimate responsibility. It would be an unwise president that would pretend to have all the answers and refuse the advice of his officials. But the fact remains that the president holds the executive power. The cabinet, the ministers of state, all act ultimately in an advisory manner. Of course, a member of the government might take an idea, be it generated by the president or the official or a committee, and turn it into a huge success, and the honors will be claimed or shared where public perception falls. But ultimately, the president is responsible and therefore takes the credit or the blame for whatever happens in his or her government.
The president also said he's satisfied that the Electoral Commission engaged with political parties and decided against changing the date for the general elections. He reposed trust in the security services to ensure peace during the elections.
Democracies are founded on elections, and the holding of free and credible elections ensure that people have confidence in the government that emerges at the end of the process. The honorable members of this House, who are at the center of it all, know more than the rest of us that this is an election year. The increased decibel level in all communications will ensure that even the most politically uninterested person among us would know that on December 7th, we shall be going to the polls to elect a new president and new members of parliament. A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. Government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well. And I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line, especially with some people wanting to undermine the multi-party democratic system of government. It is up to the parties to demonstrate that competitive elections are an honorable, character-enhancing experience, and that at the end of the process, the loser will congratulate the winner, and the world does not come to an end because an election has been lost. There is nothing inherently dirty or corrupt about politics, and nothing about elections that should generate violence. We who are in politics, and we who are members of political parties, owe it to ourselves, the institutions we claim to belong to, and above all, we owe it to Ghana and the people of Ghana to make politics and elections the serious and joyful phenomenon they should be. In discharging their responsibility, I urge the Electoral Commission to work with the political parties to iron out whatever problems there might be. And I'm happy that the Electoral Commission, after engaging the parties, has shelved plans to change the 7th December date. Politics, after all, has been described as the art of the possible. And if that is what we are engaged in, it should not be beyond us to resolve the problems that come up and concentrate on working to build the happy and prosperous country we want. Government, on its part, will do what is expected of it to make sure that the reputation of Ghana is not damaged and the free will of the people is manifested at the end of the electoral process. And I want to reassure the people of Ghana that I'll do everything in my power to help ensure the conduct of transparent, free, and fair elections on 7th December. I have confidence in the security services to ensure that those who might want to cause havoc or any kind of mischief to disrupt the electoral process will have no room to operate.
President Akufo-Addo further stated that despite the financial crisis, the government has managed to maintain uninterrupted electricity supply for the past 7 years.
Between 2012 and early 2017, there was nothing more demoralizing than the phenomenon we called doomsday. It was symptomatic of a dysfunctional system, and it caused widespread depression amongst businesses and households. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. Shouts will not wish doomsday away in our history. It will not. After that experience, my government was determined that doomsday would not be inflicted upon Ghana and Ghanaians under an MPP government. And I'm glad to be able to say, so far, so good. We have managed to keep the lights on these last 7 years, even in the midst of a financial crisis.
The government says it has also been prioritizing the basic levels of education and providing comprehensive support.
There's more to education than free SHS, and government has been paying equal attention to all the other sectors. Kindergarten, primary school, and junior high school must work together to give a solid foundation and strengthen the free SHS policy. The implementation of various programs, such as the capitation grant, feeding grants to special schools, BEC registration for pupils in public junior high schools, among others, have significantly increased access to education at the basic level. The focus of the comprehensive reforms within the sector has been to improve learning outcomes and ensure every child that goes through our education system is equipped with literacy and numeracy skills by the time they exit primary 6. And national standardized tests for numeracy and reading skills is now being conducted at Primary 4.
Still on education, the president revealed that government will establish 4 new universities as part of efforts to support the tertiary educational system in the country.
Free SHS and our no guarantor policy under the Student Loan Trust Fund are breaking down financial barriers for students seeking higher education by eliminating the requirement for a guarantor. We have empowered students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds to pursue their educational aspirations without undue financial burden. This has meant a substantial increase in the number of students seeking tertiary education. And it is in response to this increase, the government has decided to establish 4 new universities in Mampong in the Ashanti region, Akrodia in the Bono region, Bonsu in the eastern region, and Kintapo in the Bono East region, and expand the facilities in existing ones.
The president also added that a performance tracker aimed at ensuring accountability in the execution of infrastructure projects across the country will be formally launched in March.
This year, we're taking things to a higher level. This government, after all, is the digitalization government. And the man who has led the entire digitalization process these past 7 years, my indefatigable Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, Dr. Digitalization, the MPP's excellent presidential candidate for the 2024 election, is coming out with what will allow everyone and everybody and anyone to check on every project being undertaken by the government without having to listen to the president's message on the state of the nation. We are calling it the performance tracker. You can check and satisfy yourself about the status of the projects and their location. And you could stop by and make a physical inspection if you were so minded. Mr. Speaker, if you want to check on roads, classroom blocks or chip compounds or Agenda 111 hospital, or bridges, or science laboratories, or water projects or sanitation projects, or landing sites and harbors, and other infrastructural projects, or whatever this government use your tax money to execute, the key to your query is right there on your phone. Mr. Speaker, the performance tracker will be formally launched in March, and I'm offering it as the device which will help bring accountability into your hands. With the performance tracker, we can be sure that never again will pictures of an artist's impression be offered as projects that have been completed.
Under the Planting for Food and Jobs program, President Akufo-Addo said government will establish agricultural zones under the second phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs to deal with the issue of access to large tracts of land. He assured cocoa farmers of an increase in the price of a bag of cocoa following the current trend of the world cocoa price.
Poultry obviously requires extra attention, and that is exactly what we're doing. We have every intention of meeting the domestic production targets for poultry this year, 2024, and moving on to production levels that will lead to reduction in poultry imports. We envisage a vigorous cooperation between government and the private sector to achieve the set target. Mr. Speaker, having determined that large-scale commercial farming is the easiest way to achieve our set goal of food self-sufficiency, government under the second phase of the PFJ will establish agricultural zones as a complementary initiative to address the issue of access to large tracts of agricultural land, to drive sustainable and commercially oriented agriculture. This will significantly expand Ghana's productive capacity in products such as rice, soybean, maize, and tomato. Indeed, between 2021 and 2023, rice imports fell by some 45%. In 2021, rice imports amounted to 805,000 metric tons. In 2022, 650,000 metric tons. And in 2023, 450,000 metric tons. This healthy trajectory will continue until we achieve full sufficiency in rice production. For each agricultural zone, government will partner with the private sector to provide the necessary irrigation infrastructure, develop access roads, expand power, solar and hydro, and provide mechanization services. Various locations across the country with potential to be food baskets have been identified for the establishment of the agricultural zones. They include the Afram Plains, Chopoli, Kumuwu, Kratchi, and Nkranza, amongst others. Mr. Speaker, we all witnessed a spectacular increment of the cocoa price from 800 cedis per bag to 1,300 cedis. In the current cocoa season, the highest increase in 50 years. With the current trend of the world cocoa price, cocoa farmers can be sure that I will do right by them in the next cocoa season. Whilst at it, Mr. Speaker, we have not forgotten about the welfare and well-being of our fisher folk. My government has completed the construction of 12 coastal fish landing sites at Axim and Discove in the Western region, Moray, Mountford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomwafete, Otuam, and Infantsiman in the Central region, Kessi and Osu in the Greater Accra region, and Kita in the Volta region. Additionally, I had the pleasure in May last year of commissioning the newly constructed Elmina Fishing Harbor in the Central region, much against the hopes of the naysayers. And God willing, soon this year, I will also commission the Jamestown Fishing Harbor, which currently stands at 88% complete and is expected to be ready by August 2024.
According to the president, the One District, One Factory program aimed toward the industrial transformation of Ghana has, over the last 6 years, created 170,000 jobs.
Strategy. Mr. Speaker, the main cornerstone of our move towards the industrial transformation of Ghana is the One District, One Factory policy, this government's iconic flagship initiative. It demonstrates how government can stimulate and incentivize the private sector to expand and diversify manufacturing across the country by harnessing locally available raw materials. It is significant to note that within the relatively short span of 6 years, government has directly intervened to stimulate interest in and support many private sector business promoters to make significant investments in manufacturing under the One District, One Factory program. Mr. Speaker, this has led to the development of 321 IDF 1D1F projects consisting of 211 new medium to large-scale factories and the conscious enabling of 110 in existing companies to inject significant capital investments into the expansion of production facilities and diversification of products. These business promoters have so far invested in 142 districts across the country, across all 16 regions, and achieving 54% district coverage. The aspiration is to bring a 1D1F project to every district. Speaker, within this period, some 170,000 jobs have been created under the novel ID 1D1F program by companies in operation. Mr. Speaker, government approved a number of incentives, including duty exemptions to support the implementation of the 1D, 1F program. In 2019 and 2020, 37 1D, 1F companies were granted exemptions approval by this august House. However, from 2021 to date, no exemptions have been granted. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to consider and approve all the outstanding exemption applications as a matter of urgency.
That was President Akufo-Addo.
So he has gone there by the constitutional dictates to deliver the State of the Nation address to members of Parliament, who are the people's representative. And as usually would happen, you get an earlier bite of reaction from the minority leader when they are coming to second the motion for adjournment, which is what happened. So Alexander Penyumakins, the leader of the majority side, moved the motion for adjournment for the debate to happen later, which is what happens. And the minority leader, an MP for Adwuma Kwenyane CM, Honorable Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, in responding and accepting to adjourn, made a few remarks about the things that the president's speech did not capture. Let's listen to that.
The unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter. Mr. Speaker, out of 33 million population, only 11.3 million are employed. This number includes peasant farmers. Mr. Speaker, the difference between the 33 million and 11.3 million is what I call ninja. No income, no jobs, no assets. Mr. Speaker, this means that 2 out of every 3 Ghanaian is unemployed. Mr. Speaker, 30% of our youth are jobless. And about 4.5 million Ghanaians plus, employable Ghanaians plus, are outside the labor force. So, Speaker, this simply means that this number have simply given up on their search for jobs because of years of frustration and disappointment. Mr. Speaker, the state of our nation is hopeless. No wonder that an ordinary Ghanaian, including professionals, are leaving our shores in droves. In search for greener pastures. Mr. Speaker, finally, Mr. Speaker, I am scandalized. I am shocked to the marrow to have noticed that our president, following the recent ministerial reshuffle, has increased the size of his government. Mr. Speaker, today we have a Minister of Finance Domestic and a Minister of Finance International. Mr. Speaker, $1 today is 13 cedis. During the time of President Mahama, $1, 3 cedis, 80 pesos. Mr. Speaker, a vote for Alhaji Bawumia is a vote for President Akufo-Addo's third. Mr. Speaker, to conclude on this matter, Ghanaians voted for Vice President and are paying for the Vice President to support you to succeed. Mr. Speaker, you cannot fail, the President cannot fail alone. The President will have to fail together with the Vice President. So, Mr. President, you have failed with your Vice President. Mr. Speaker, I conclude by saying that Ghanaians will not miss President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. We know you are going. We can only wish you bye-bye. But you will never be missed.
So that's Dr. Kesela Tuforsen. He's MP for Adwuma Kwenyane CM in the Central Region, and he is a minority leader reacting to President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address. When we come back, we hear from one of Akufo-Addo's ministers speaking to us about the key issues that the president raised. We are down, but we are not out. That's how the speaker summarized it before he closed the chapter today. We'll be back with more. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Shout! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
You know, your Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine
younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that?
Mr. Mane. Sorry.
Chairman Mane.
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Recoded to do more with ease. The enhanced GCB mobile app. Download now from Google Play Store or Apple Store for all your transactions. Smooth, safe, and secure. Charlie, tap the app. You don't need to have an account to upgrade. GCB mobile app. Recoded to do more. Upgrade your style. GCB Bank. Your bank for life.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. So President Akufo-Addo today delivered the State of the Nation address to Parliament. Let's speak to Deputy Trade Minister, MP for Chiaiso, popularly known as Dr. Stephen Amwa. He's joined us on the night. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much.
I know that generally the majority will support the president, the minority will oppose the president. But when you sat there and listened to the president deliver the State of the Nation's address, he has been president for 7 going to 8 years. What's your candid assessment of what he said?
Thank you very much. My regards to our listeners this very evening. It's unfortunate, but we don't have enough time. But your first comment, I'm so much interested in that. I hope at the right time we need to deal with that situation as a country. Coming back to the substantive issue, of course, restoring our economy, definitely from what we all went through, which we haven't done complete restoration. I am particularly happy about the fact that the primary macro indicators are being restored. I mean, they are not yet there yet. For instance, you have an inflation rate crossing over 54 and now it's around 23 points, which is also still high. But at least it's an indicator of the fact that we are halving it almost. And then talking about the fact that our current account was negative 2 point something, now we have positive 1.4. So our GDP is crossed over our targeted figure, which was I think around 1.7 now 2.8. So you look at the fact that the economy is quite coming back home for us to kind of complete our consolidation and begin to grow and ensure stability or sustainability. So that alone, I mean, knowing where I come from and where my expertise is, I'm very happy and particular about that. And then he also made mention of a number of infrastructure achievements, which because I haven't read all now, I can, especially in the area of digitization, which of course the whole world, we're all going digital. So if your country is now becoming a giant in that field, then it means that we are heading somewhere. But of course, you cannot say that all the challenges and the problems in our country are erased. But we are actually experiencing kind of hope because of how things are unfolding now after what we all went through as a country and even the world also went through as a group.
So you are referring to the issues of 2019, the latter part into the whole of 2020?
No, we're comparing figures from 2022. Because you remember 2022, in fact, even our CD depreciated about 9%. And so you realize that even though it's quite high, there is some sort of stability. And then talking about the figures I'm giving, they are all figures with respect to from 2022 to 2023, what we've been doing, not necessarily 2019, but 2019, the situation actually kind of, people should separate even the health situation from the economic impact. Because even the world has not moved away entirely from the problems you're having with the supply chain. So in the health situation, yes, it's becoming highly mitigated, we agree. But its economic impact or adverse impact, the world still feels it. And now there is indication that we are totally coming out of it and making some gains when it comes to improvement in the economic sector. I mean, with respect to the primary macro indicators, which of course will definitely reflect into the primary macro indicators. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not comparing now to 2019. Okay. I'm comparing 2023 figures to those of those in 2022, and also the signs that Ghana is picking up very fast and things are going on well.
Okay. The summary, as I heard it from the president, and I think was re-echoed by the speaker, is that we are down, but we are not out. Now, that's a very important admission for the president to have said that we are down. But how much time before we get out completely? Because it looks like we are at the verge of going out.
Yeah, I think I really like the questions you're asking because they are nationalistic, or they are nationalistically oriented or nationally oriented questions. Boss, when we get in there, it's a good question though. Any honest person will tell you that we'll get there, but as with respect to specific time, because you also have a component of uncertainty in all these projections. And one of the things that makes it very difficult for countries such as Ghana many a time to give you specific figures is the fact that we depend on the global economy. Very unfortunate situation. We've been depending on the global economy for almost 30, 40 years now. So sometimes even when you want to give definite lines, I mean finite line, timelines or whatever, something happens on the globe, and then it actually drives your whole projections, or it takes you out of your own trajectory. So it's very difficult. But I think if we put to ensure consistency in our economic policies, especially with respect to the primary macro indicators, in the area of revenue generation and in the area of our expenditure controls, in the area of concentrating on capital expenditures and the areas that can really formulate the definitional elements of economic growth and stability. I'm sure we can do that. But if you ask me, I should give you A. It will be difficult. It's more especially when I am not with a team that actually collecting the data with which we can process the data that we can process for us to give timelines in terms of our projections. I cannot. But as an external stakeholder and probably an expert in that field, or somebody who has some amount of good knowledge in that field or pieces of information in that field, I can tell you that we are heading towards a good end. There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel based on what we are having, unless something comes up. Because nobody knew we're going to wake up one day and we're going to have impaired productivity as a country as a result of health situation. That we're going to wake up one day, the private sector was going to sack about 40,000 people, and that we're going to have revenue shortfall of about 12 billion. All those, we didn't know about all that. So sometimes even your projections come with margins of caution and also uncertainty. But of course, it's a good question. And I think we are getting there. We only have to, as a country and as economic managers, make sure that we keep to the consistency and even improve upon our macroeconomic policies and decisions, and make sure that we control cost more, concentrate on areas that can really consolidate our economy, and that can also strengthen the definitional elements that I mentioned. I'm sure we will get there. We will get there. I believe strongly that we will get there.
Interesting that you have that promise and the hope. The president actually makes that point too, but it's easier said than done, isn't it, Doc?
Of course.
The promises you made us before you came into government, some of the promises you made us, which were made on knees, some were made when you were weeping, and I'm not using you alone, but I mean, people were generally begging. I remember Dr. Mustafa Hamid, at one of the last press conferences at your party headquarters, was crying and asking Ghanaians to try Akufo-Addo. I remember people kneeling down saying, and the president himself saying, but for 7 years, I said, we have saw you, but the thing we are sharing, Doc, I'm sure you are a very analytical person. And so
Boss,
Doc,
I think sometimes all of us, I'm surprised that you're referring to I was crying the time. That tape is fake. We keep on correcting. Even Adum FM corrected that. It was their own program. It wasn't what people have trusted. And this is very dangerous in our country. I shouldn't have emphasized that, but I think it is time someone like you that I know you have genuine intention. I know you personally. I know you will not do propaganda. But of course, it means that the tape is still convincing people. We are not in opposition. They are giving different meaning. They are twisting it. They are adding stories and changing it. So that issue about me crying was very fake. I was crying, yes, but not the stories they are attaching. It's a fake tape. Put that aside. The 7 years you're talking about, honestly speaking, apart from problems with the economy in terms of cost of high cost of spending, how is it high cost? Is it low cost of standard and then high cost of living, if I should put it, which of course is global. Honestly, I operate a pharmacy. The things I used to import, some of them within 3 months, they went up from 1999 in UK to about 30. We import all of them. So the way we are talking, as if we've not done much. In any case, in terms of infrastructural development, in the field of education, the field of agriculture, let me use my constituency, it's also constituency. Please go and find out. I'm not saying we don't have challenge, we don't have problems. But go and check the things His Excellencies Nana Addo Dankwa and the Vice President under their leadership, what has gone on there. Even a greater Accra here you live. Do you want to tell me that things are not happening? Great stuff. So we are not saying there is no hardship. We are not saying that we are not suffering. But if you tell me that the things we promised, even to the extent that when you mention, they say it's the only thing. But it's not the only thing. In the area of digitization, we've done so much. Now go to DVL, go to passport office. How things are moving very fast, even with the world. You talk about a situation such as even the poor parent's child can access education at the senior high school segment. You say that we've not done much. See major, road network that we are doing. You say we've not done much. Talking about one constituency, one bullets, we've not done much. See all the CCTV system all over Ghana. We've not done much. Even some villages I went there, I saw we've not done much. Come on, there's hardship. And the hardship I have never seen. And look, yesterday, greater part of Europe, farmers were on strike. I think you check CNN. Even I'm not comparing
Yes,
Ghana to UK. I'm saying that
they were Brussels. They were complaining.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that I'm comparing Ghana to UK. The emphasis is that they are better economies. We depend on them. They are even suffering. How much less or more that we depend on them? These are arguments. But people don't want to face these facts. So if we want to sit down and decide to forget about the reference point and decide to forget about the fact that there were uncertainties that overwhelmed us as a country and that we are picking up. Probably, look, when the whole world was growing negative 0.04, negative 3.3, Ghana were growing 0.4. When things were very tough. Even when they were projecting 2.8, we were growing around 3. Our projections for, I think, third quarter last year and into 2023, ending of the year, was somewhere around 1 point something. Now we are growing 2.8. So we are saying that there is hardship. And that's what the president said, that we are down. But it doesn't mean that we cannot wake up. And it's not only Ghana. We have our peculiar situations. But of course, we also accept the fact that probably some of the internal management issues we need to review and do well as a country. I agree with you. But honestly speaking, the promises we gave, if you stop doing the tick boxes or the box ticking, my brother, even with the hardship, with all the problems that we went through, look, when in our history that this country, workers were asked to stay home, but they were paid. Media don't know, haven't seen that. And we asked, even when we finished with a few months, we also had extra 11 months that were running shift. And even as of now, even some of the institutions are still running shift. That half will go 2 weeks, half will go there, and we're still paying them. Where were we going to get money? When the market had almost seized and that were dependent on debt financing, that actually destroyed and disturbed our fiscal space. To the extent that our debt to GDP went way over 80% as a country, that the world put pressure on us that we should use internal generated fund to restore and consolidate our fiscal space. And even the tax component that we tried, wanting to take advantage of present market and the opposition we had in Parliament and outside Parliament, that the levy was not a successful law planned. And we're still having problems in financing areas that were even statutory. My brother, I think sometimes I agree to the outcry of Ghanaians. The concerns you guys are raising, they are very legitimate. But let's also look at the other side of the coin and understand the fact that this government has reduced so much. Other than that, probably the situation would have been much more severe or tedious than will be severer than what we are going through. I think we need to also accept that fact.
Okay.
But we can also argue with Ghanaians or struggle with wrestle Ghanaians' ideas and say that, they're more, can much more. That no, it's true. Ghanaians are right. But the situation is not something that was controllable. We've even done well as a government. I think we need to accept that fact.
Very well. Someone has just sent me a message that I want to read to you before you go. It's a journalist who does business reporting, and he said, the economies that grew in negative figures have recovered and doing great. Ghanaians are living in droves to seek greener pastures. Ivory Coast is overtaking Ghana as the second biggest economy in West Africa. They are going back to the Eurobond market. Ghana hasn't even finished debt restructuring. What do you say to that?
In the first place, the person should understand that they have two different economic sovereignties or jurisdictions. This thing in Parliament, the opposition were so emphatic, and when I started speaking about it, they kept quiet. When you talk about the Francophone countries, they don't have that discretionary economic policies like Ghana. They are fully integrated into the economic central government policies of France. For how many times do you have to talk about this and educate people? It's entirely two different economies. Because they don't have Central Bank of Ghana to set their own primary macro indicators and their policies and other things. Just go and check compared to us. But even they also have their hardship. They have their situation. And even what we do here in terms of probably our free schools and other things might have been totally different from what they are doing. And that is why me, I find it very difficult when I'm comparing Ghana to just one country. You do that against the continent or the globe. Because that one is like comparing Citi to the media industry. Because you want to compare Citi to, say, Joy, you is quite comparable in a way. You still have different underlying elements that might have provided certain opportunities and incentives or whatever advantage, disadvantage to each of them. So you compare to the industry. Secondly, you need to also understand the fact that those countries that he's talking about, look, if Europe, as of yesterday, farmers were demonstrating. How much less, Africa or a country such as Ghana.
Okay.
So even what he's saying that others are up there and they move and they are happy couldn't have been accepted as the truth.
So it will not be fair to compare us to Ivory Coast. Prince Henry has sent me a message from Koforidua. He's an NDC member. He says I should ask Sticker why the MPP were using the Ivory Coast in opposition to castigate the NDC, and he uses the word karma.
But boss, these are all which MPP boy? And definitely not me, and I don't think so. And these are the tricks they use. That they think because it's so many years back, they bring some of these propaganda issues. Even if NPP had done that, even if so, without admitting, and it was wrong, do they still have to do that? Because you see, when you started your interview, you said something fantastic. And I've been going along this path for the past 9 months. So I was very happy when he said it. Anytime NDC guys are in power, no matter what, MPP guys, even the policies are going to help us, we'll go against them. And the same way when MPP guys in power, for instance, the introduction or the increment of taxes in Ghana, now they are becoming like, I don't know how to describe it. And because of that, our fiscal space keeps on deteriorating. Because when they are in power, anything that they bring, we will tell Ghanaians it's not good. And the same way. But for how long do we continue to blame each other, even when we think it's not going to? We need to define a new point of convergence.
Doc, since when have you had this, your journey to Damascus movement, by the way?
I am surprised you don't know me. If you are going to put the time I started coming on radio and TV almost 30 years ago, honestly, go and pull my tapes. I'm not saying all the time I get it correct. I'm not saying all the time I don't do politics. But when it comes to things that are within my profession, I can tell you that even now, sometimes I suffer in my government because sometimes I'm very neutral and I speak the truth. And people take advantage, they pick extracts and they go and destroy you somewhere. But honestly, I am not perfect. I'm as good or bad as any other politician. But this country, a lot of people bear me a witness that Stika is the type of person that when it comes to analyzing the economy and it's the truth, he doesn't do, unless maybe somebody wants to do propaganda or lies. But what I'm saying, does it make sense? Even if that does it not make sense, even if I have realized that yesterday, and that will help Ghana, that will define a new corporate focus for our country, that will change our problems, because the recycling of the blame games, let me ask you, has it helped us as a country? Has it helped us? So we should continue doing that. Has it helped us?
Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
It's a big pleasure. It's a big pleasure, sir.
That's Dr. Stephen Amoah. He's MPP MP for Nshai, so Deputy Minister for Trade, speaking to us there on the State of the Nation address. The President was there to deliver the Nation address. Former First Lady Nana Konadu Rawlings was there. The Vice President was there with his spouse. Former President John Dramani Mahama, who is NDC flag bearer, hoping to be next president, was also there today. And talking about him, the Council of Elders of his party, the NDC, will meet on Thursday, that's March 7, to deliberate on a possible running mate for the presidential candidate. This follows a formal communication from him regarding the nomination of his running mate in accordance with the party's constitution. So he has nominated someone and sent to the party. There's a statement that General Secretary of the party, Fifi Fiavikweti, issued in which he said the party's National Executive Committee will also meet after the National Council's meeting on the same subject. The NDC maintains that the running mate to be selected for the 2024 election will complement the vision of John Mahama towards his building the Ghana We Want Together agenda. There are reports that Professor Nanajino Pukwajiman, the former education minister who ran with the former president, would be the one to be chosen. We are also receiving other reports that the former president's chief of staff, Julius Debra, may be his partner. But we wait to see what exactly will be coming out from the NDC headquarters.
Now, about 600 Liberians and Ghanaians have been displaced as a result of a demolition exercise by the Gomoafete Traditional Council. The council says the demolition is to create space for the development of a market for traders who have been affected by the expansion project of the Kaswa-Winneba Highway. Leadership of the Liberian community has, however, accused the Ghanaian government of neglecting them. They believe the demolition exercise is a calculated attempt by government and the traditional council to kick them out of the settlement.
Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how's your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Media sambisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mu we planet me fi na mo bodom pe mo mana yakono. Eye kwabna. Na mu honsu na timi just mali me ma yeni na de. Eye kojo. En kro. Complete me wi na bodom pe mo sense o super president eba. Aye den oban ni do braye. Bu si echi na mo hoban na sem mana hoode ne. Sa ani na kudwonsu yi super president chako. Na no ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na wotimi asiri be my mother feel you. Hey, Kojo, sir. Yeah. President Eba and a President Taco. I've idea. You're gonna natural. FTIJ Chadian Katuatu.
Ghana must grow.
Boss. You yo. KB, aka Kubeboga, now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope days.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program, because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrom, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. President Akufo-Addo says recent macroeconomic indicators must spark optimism as they collectively point towards a positive trajectory for economic growth. The president maintains that GDP growth, performance of the city, and inflation stability are indicative of the country's resilience and recovery amidst global uncertainties. Presenting the State of the Nation address in Parliament, he reaffirmed his government's commitment to overcome Ghana's battered economy.
Indeed, the macroeconomy was much stronger at the end of 2023 than in 2022. Inflation, which peaked at 54.4% in December 2022, has reduced to 23.5% in January 2025. Real GDP growth for the first 3 quarters of 2023 averaged 2.8%, higher than the targeted growth rate of 1.5% for 2023. The CD has been largely stable since February 2023, with a cumulative depreciation of 9% between February and December 2023. Gross international reserves reflected a significant buildup of over $5.9 billion United States dollars, enough to cover 2.7 months of import of goods and services. The current account turned positive at 1.4% of GDP at the end of September 2023, from negative 2.1% at the end of December 2022. Generally, the macroeconomic indicators are once again all pointing in the right direction.
The president also stated that the government is committed to ensuring that the progress made so far on restructuring its external debt with its official creditors is quickened.
Mr. Speaker, on the external debt side, we achieved a significant milestone by reaching an agreement with our public creditors. And I'll use this occasion to express our appreciation to the Republic of France and the People's Republic of China, co-chairs of the Official Creditors Committee, for their positive roles in this achievement. We've also intensified our engagement with our external bondholders on the principles of transparency, fair treatment, consistency with the IMF debt sustainability analysis, and good faith. We are focused and committed to accelerating the process. Mr. Speaker, we're committed to concluding the external debt restructuring process as soon as possible, so we move past the crisis. This will enable us to complete substantially projects that have been constrained due to financial challenges. In the meantime, some of the priority projects have been transferred onto the GOG budget with the same fiscal space to ensure their completion.
President Akufo-Addo further assured that the recent change in the leadership of the Finance Ministry will not affect government commitment to implementing the terms agreed with the International Monetary Fund.
Mr. Speaker, it is important to underline that the recent change in the leadership of the Finance Ministry will not affect government's commitment to implementing the terms agreed with the IMF to ensure that we restore the economy to healthy growth as soon as possible. I should point out that in all our discussions with the fund, a paramount consideration has been to ensure that the poor and vulnerable do not bear the brunt of the sacrifices that have to be made. Programs like LEAP, school feeding and capitation grant have been protected and indeed enhanced.
That was President Akufo-Addo. The Tree Crop Development Authority, in collaboration with the Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana, the Ghana Revenue Authority, and National Security, have shut down the operations of 3 shops at the Kaswa New Market. This action was taken due to suspected sales of smuggled vegetable oil. The trio were detained for failing to produce keys to the facility hosting the alleged smuggled oil. Upon further interrogation, the key was eventually produced, leading to the discovery of the product. In a media interview, Paul Amanin, the leader of the task force, said the exercise is to help ensure a fair playing ground for all parties within the Ghanaian markets.
Actually, when we enter market, we ask of your way bill or your store where you bought it, some documentation. And when we came here, you know that they told us that they don't even know where the owner or the manager is. So they were feeling recalcitrant. They've locked it. So it means they know what is happening and they want to still do what they want to do. So we have to put them under arrest. We are doing different phases of the project with this as marketing and as licensing. If you are importing any vegetable oil to this country, you need to go through the licensing process under Tree Crop Development Authority, which is TCDA. We begin that exercise soon, so that you know that when you are importing, you know you have to take your license before you bring the oil. That's one. And we have to also go and educate the public, as what we are doing today, that the media should know what's happening, know the brands involved, so that they will educate the people and we take it from there. The local industry is of competition. We want fair competition. We are paying tax. The GRA people are on our mills that they make sure any litter that you produce, you pay the VAT, you pay every taxes on it. So we want fair competition.
Paul Amene is the leader of a task force that shut down some operations of 3 shops at the Kaswa New Market. Now, the chief executive of ACCA, Helen Brand, has underscored the pivotal role that accountants play in steering organizations towards greater sustainability. Emphasizing the profession's relevance, she stressed the importance of accountants meeting evolving employer demands while contributing to a more equitable and sustainable future. Speaking on the sidelines of the ACCA's Sustainability Reporting Roundtable discussion, Helen Brand expressed confidence that accountants could leverage their skills, expertise, and experience to constructively contribute to sustainable business practices and economies that benefit all.
ACCA has created substantial resources available digitally, but also backed up by roadshows and events such as this to support businesses to develop in a sustainable fashion. So just for example, we have a sustainability pack, which is completely free of charge, available online, which is curated articles, policy papers, videos that explain to people how. And I think that's the important point. People know at the moment, yes, we need to change, but it's the how that is more challenging. So we've put those resources together. We've also embedded in our core qualifications sustainability strategy, sustainability reporting, sustainability assurance, and we've created a certificate in sustainability. And of course, we're working closely with all our partners around the world, specifically here in Ghana, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Ghana, ICAG, where we're supporting their sustainability committee to ensure that everybody has the right information, the right capacity to make a difference.
Helen Brand is the chief executive of ACCA. And that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News. The business news on Eyewitness News is brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Hello, Linda. You won't believe what I am planning next. I want to start my postgraduate degree, buy a car, and build my dream home. But you know what's stopping me?
What's that, Mike?
Money, oh. That be my biggest wahala.
Oh, you are sorted, cry. With a GCB Big Move personal loan promo, you can borrow up to a whopping 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours.
Like, seriously? How do I qualify?
Yes, it's available to all GCB salary account holders. Plus, you get a 2-month grace period before you start to pay back.
Susket, I'm opening an account with GCB now.
Get a personal loan of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours. Call 0800-422-422 or visit your nearest GCB branch today to fund your next big move as we celebrate 70 years of greatness. T's and C's apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
City TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117, and on HD+, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search, but take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV. City TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD+ boxes. City TV, it's your world.
KB, aka Kubeboga, now drives a Bugatti. He can even travel by road from Accra to London. Oh, wow. KB's source of wealth is agriculture. Yes, coconut business. After losing his bank job, he started supplying coconuts at events. Now, he owns large coconut plantations and employs many young people. Charlie, we all need to trust the process, because hope day.
There has never been a better time to enter into agribusiness. Take a bold step today with the Ghana Grows program, because every step pays. Ejuma Wokrom, Ghana Grows, Hope Day, an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation and Limehouse.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Umaru Sandamado, as you would know by now, the majority side has a new leader in Parliament. The Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markins has replaced Osechi Mensah-Bonsu as the majority leader. So in his first media interview, he sat with Bernard Avle on the point of view on Citi TV last night and spoke about a few things around his leadership and, of course, the job of Parliament. So tonight on Point Blank, we are bringing you excerpts of that interview Bernard had with Alexander Afenyo-Markins. Let's listen.
I never wanted to be a minister, and I still don't want to be a minister. I think I should serve in Parliament. But even so, at committee level, we had first-timers becoming chairman and vice chair, and I was above no rank. But I never complained. I kept on doing my job. The incident at ECOWAS Parliament, I sacrificed and came back home. Later, when my name was removed from the list, there was no notice served on me, where I thought we were going to have a renewal, and I was taken out. And a colleague who was already a chair and a vice chair had another opportunity to serve on the delegation. But I didn't complain, because in this game of politics, you can't survive with bitterness, you know. If you are always thinking, you go through your own depression, you will not survive. You have mental issues, you have depression, and your own immune system will come down. So I have a certain view that, look, whatever your lot, take it and move on. And that's been me. I try to take away the pressure from the job, be myself, and hope for a better day. And alas, that day arrived unexpectedly. Let me thank some very important gentlemen in the media, okay? Your own Richard Elaskai, Elton John Broby, and Listowel Fojo. Okay, when we entered Parliament, we were all about getting into the media. Richard would always say that, use the rules book, use the platform in Parliament. Sometimes you want to rush to him for interview, he will decline. He will tell you that go and say that on the floor. All right? Listowel Fojo and Elton John Broby. Listowel was at Adum and Elton was at Joy. These were early friends with me, and these guys were sharp guys. If you are not prepared, don't go closer to their microphone. They will ask you the very hard question, and if you mess up, they won't spare you. So these three gentlemen really helped me, you know, and I understood it that way, that you have to learn, you have to prepare. And of course, I mentioned Dr. Sebe Yeboah on the floor. He is such a selfless guy. But I also recall that Kweku Kwati, you know, I didn't do economics. I always try to run away from this microeconomics and macroeconomics. I would want to do the political economics, the details of those things. I don't want to venture. My area is law, so I want to stay on that turf where I'm comfortable with. But here was a day where I was sent to a talking point, and Kweku Kwati had to prepare me. And on the show, he kept telling me, Alex, you are doing it.
Was it a budget show?
No, I think it's one of those debates, you know, this talking point.
Yeah.
All right. So I've gone through the system through the help of colleagues, but for their selflessness, but for their teamwork, I wouldn't be somebody today who understands the politics in the chamber. You meeting Papa Usankuma, he will teach you, eating, so I would spend hours. Sometimes we felt he was
even from the other side.
Talkative. Yes,
so you got people from the other side.
A lot of them. A lot of them. My own Professor Kumbo will sit you down and teach you the rules, direct you on how to argue. Right Honorable Bagbin, you know, they all played, you know, diverse roles in our.
Was it that they saw early promise for legislative focus? Because I remember the first time I saw you in Parliament, I was in the press gallery 2013. So, and you were saying something about financial crime.
Correct.
And the Sky said, this guy, he's good, he's a lawyer. But there was a feeling in the gallery that for a new MP, where she.
Well, Ghana, you are likely to hear that, but it's normal. You have to focus. Yes, when the financial crime laws were enacted, lawyers were afraid of the law. They never dared to challenge the law. Like today's LGBT thing that our colleagues are seeing the law, custodial sentencing, very difficult, draconian provisions, and they are scared. They fear to lose their seat. I said, and so what? If I'm not an MP again, and so what? I'll speak my mind. That was what I did those days. I went to court to challenge the law. We fought all the way to the Supreme Court and made sure we had set the precedents. Enforcement of financial crime. I wasn't bothered about things that when they are looking for a plan, they go and take my cases. They will call me and say, okay, the case that you did, can you send it to us? And I send it to them freely. But they were afraid at the point where, you know, accounts were being frozen 3 years, 4 years, and nothing. People will file suspicious transaction report, and just that, they will freeze your account and freeze the transaction as well. So when eventually, after making a lot of inroads in the court, FIC decided to come and amend the law to tighten up, I felt strongly about it that I needed to challenge it. And I recall Right Honorable Duajahu never, you know, snubbed my point. He encouraged me to make my point, and I think it was one of those observations that you made on the floor. He allowed me to make my case, and then I brought some of the court-made laws to the fore for them to understand that this is the thinking of the
Has
judges.
this been an area you've been practicing before coming into Parliament? For which reason
correct.
you had the confidence?
Yes, I mean, my general area of practice is criminal law. I enjoy criminal law practice in the courtroom. I enjoy courtroom practice where you deal with issues and eventually when a court rules on a matter, you know, you have that satisfaction. And in my practice, I never ended up at the district court or the high court. If I lose a case, all cases I lost at the high court, I moved all the way to the Supreme Court. If I always wanted to test the law. You get to the Court of Appeal, if you win, fine. If the other party comes in,
So you
let's
are
keep
criminal quasi-constitutional lawyer. Because you always want interpretation.
Yes, I do, you know, constitutional law practice as well, and I have a lot of cases to that effect, okay? And I think that the latest law that we have in Parliament, this LGBT thing, I think that we shouldn't be emotional about it. I've been thinking, battling this. Should a man be incarcerated because of sexual relationship? I've been asking that. In principle, I am not against the need to enact on Ghanaian values and proper
But I think
sexual
the
rights.
punishment is
But the
disproportionate.
punishment bit, and what you, the media, seem not to have realized is that subtle attempt
to
gag you and also to reintroduce criminal libel. You guys have not read it. The entire media landscape has not looked at that provision, because we repealed the criminal libel in 2001 and said that, look, when a media house, offends an individual through defamation, whatever, your claim should lie in the civil courts, not criminal courts. Now you are saying, we are in Parliament, we are saying today that should a media house choose a certain editorial policy which offends the law, it should amount to, upon conviction, amount to incarceration. I think that's a serious matter. Then it means that the press freedom as guaranteed by the Constitution is being brought to question.
So you get a sense that the media and some members of Parliament are being drawn by sentiment more than...
Exactly. I mean, a lot of my colleagues came to me and said, look, leader, this thing, we have a problem. But we fear if we talk. So if you realize, in one of my applications, in one of the motions that I lost, I asked Mr. Speaker whether he could exercise his discretion and allow for secret ballots. A lot of people were pushing for that. They wanted secret ballot.
You think if there was a secret ballot, some of the amendments
would have carried. I tell you, honestly. Because people are afraid. They don't know,
But if we have MPs who don't have the moral courage to stand up for what they believe, then we are in trouble.
I, before taking up that position, engaged some clergymen. I spoke to some prominent people who are very religious. I spoke to some very senior Christian clergy. I spoke to them. They won't allow me to mention their names, and I won't do that. But I spoke to them. I said, Osofo, Reverend, Bishop, Father, this aspect of custodial sentence, and all of them,
they agreed,
would tell me that, oh, Honorable, yes, as in so I wasn't just saying anything, all right? I wanted to test their views that what really is this issue about LGBT. Do you want people to go to jail? And considering the fact that our country's judiciary is doing a shift on a new regime on sentencing, we've received various papers, and the judiciary itself has done several discussions on this matter.
And all of that.
Yes.
So you feel like it's in the spirit of that they should have that. The other question,
and the condition in our jails.
Yes. The other question about what you were trying to do, and not to catch you, but the other was that because the witchcraft bill and then the other bills had not been assented to by the president, there was a view that maybe we were trying to tidy this up so that the clash between legislature and executive for private members would not occur. So, for example, issues around if you jail somebody, it can be interpreted to mean that it will have cost implications to this. So were you subtly trying to tidy the law up so that the president will not be compelled to use the same reasons for rejecting those three bills to reject this one?
Respectfully, that was not the case. I was not looking at it from that angle. I was looking at it within the context of human rights.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at those implications. That was not the gravamen of my submission on the House floor. I was looking at the human rights repercussions. I was looking at press freedom, and I was looking at what was driving the law. Okay, you want people to abstain. You want people to reform. Is that the way to achieve that? Really? Okay? And I felt that that was not the right solution. If we throw people into jail, would they come back hardened or they will come back changed?
Do you think the law in its present form will be assented to by the president?
I can't speak for Mr. President. But I think that the law in its present form has questionable constitutional issues. The law as I see it, from how I've seen it, the law cannot stand any serious test in any constitutional court.
So you think if somebody took this to Supreme Court, it could even arrest it before it gets to the president?
Well, I think that the law would have serious challenge at the Supreme Court.
If it faced a human rights constitutionality test
If it faces a constitutionality test, it will fail. Not the entire law, aspects of it
the law
would fail. That's my view with respect.
Do you think that the political implications of the law is what is preventing collectively Parliament from looking at those constitutional issues?
I think so. Bernard, I think the way the whole thing was introduced, and it created some fear amongst even the legislators, that people think that, hey, if I dare question, they will say that, oh, I am supporting a man to marry a man, supporting a woman to marry a woman. So nobody wants to touch it. It's a radioactive substance. But if we pay attention to the details, we can come out with a law that will be acceptable to all. I mean, Bernard, I don't know how your upbringing was, but on my part, I went through a very regimented system. The cane will not be spared. If you misbehave, your dad would take the cane. And that created a certain fear. That fear not to do the thing because you don't want to incur the wrath of your dad or for your mom or an auntie or an uncle to, apply the cane on you. But today, any parent who would attempt to use the cane will fail.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. The days where people fear jail, that you do go to a fiase, in any event, what we have, the conditions of our prisons do not help a person to reform. I stated it on the House floor that when we had the opportunity to visit in Sawam prison as final year students at the law school, we saw the condition. Are our colleagues who are sponsoring this bill talking to the prison officers? When Kweku Bako returned from incarceration, he remarked that at midnight, they would hear some of the prisoners shouting. Do you want me to say it?
But think, what can you say about this? Are you forcing on yourself? It's quite interesting, right? Same year of birth, same day of birth in terms of day of the week. 94, turning point, central region. Both schooled in the region as well. Both left to the UK at an early age. I mean...
Not really. Not really. But I've always seen Ato as a nice gentleman. We struck an esprit de corps in the early days in Parliament when he was Deputy Finance Minister. I was on the Finance Committee. We worked closely, and he's a great guy. Sometimes people misconstrue the politics. They think that it should be all abrasiveness, there should be fight, and there should be no relationship.
Yeah.
But when we entered Parliament, we're told that, look, keep the politics, maintain relationship. And to me, that's one thing I respect about Ato and some other colleagues. And I always want to keep the relationship across the aisle. I mean, let's debate. Let's not personalize it. Let's not get to the extreme. Let's deal with the issues. Once you deal with the issues, you finish and take your coffee. Unfortunately, I'm not good in wine or any other alcoholic beverage, so I have serious allergies, so I can't do that. But we can do that. I mean, take some juice or drink, eat together after the debate. So I foresee working well with Ato.
Is he your friend?
Oh, he's a good friend. He's a good friend. I mean, I remember the last time we had occasion of having dinner. Social media was set ablaze and people were saying all manner of things. Some felt, why? But we wanted to make a point. It was accidental stuff. But also, we wanted to make a point that guys out there, we are not in that chamber fighting. And let me repeat this to our full soldiers. No serious politician in that chamber would want to fight the opposite politician. So don't think that you must fight your brother. I mean,
so you can be friends,
it's a simple message.
You are opponents.
Yes,
friends but opponents.
That's the rule, like in the court. You can be a friend to somebody, but if your client has given you a brief and you are supposed to deal with it, you go and deal with it in accordance with the law. And you move because you are supposed to serve your clients to the best of your knowledge.
But some people interpret the friendship to mean that you are taking us for a ride because you take positions that are so passionate. For example, State of the Nation tomorrow,
Right.
President will speak, our two sides will say it is empty, the nation is going bad. You will say it's great speech. And the way you argue, when they see you eating together, they think, you guys are deceiving
So we
us.
have to get them to appreciate the space that we operate in. They must understand that if today you, Bernard, you are interviewing me, you're supposed to ask me the relevant questions related to the interview that you are conducting. If you are dealing with a subject matter, you should be as firm, as hard as possible. That doesn't make us enemies. And I, who is in the interview, should not be overly emotional and get offended. If really it's all about nation building, we as the political class should let our people know that this game is all about democracy. My view, your view, we build consensus.
But sometimes the parties may not be in the mood for that. For example, if you look at the posture of the opposition, even during some of the votes, the General Secretary was monitoring, trying to whip them into line. Is your party comfortable with the fact that you are good friends with the minority leader?
It doesn't matter. You need that friendship to manage the house. If you are at each other's throat, you cannot.
That's Alexander Penyumakin, MP for Ifutu, majority leader in Parliament, speaking to Bernard Kokwavle on the point of view on Citi TV last night. That would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. I did this with Hawa Idriso Mustafa. Production by Kobna Wilson, Beverly London, and Sami Wiafi. We return tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and have a good night.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline.